All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Reviews, and we're talking more Walking Dead Season 11. And today we're talking about Episode 11 of Season 11. It's called Rogue Element. This is just going to be a brief video. It's not going to be a real long one as usual lately. If you are interested, I did make a big half-hour video talking about the Batman, so you can check that out on the channel. But if you are liking what we're doing here on the channel, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, all that jazz. So let's just jump right into this, because this episode I really, really, really liked. I had somebody describe it for me a few days ago, and I thought, they're not really good at describing things, I guess, because I really liked this. They just were like, oh, Eugene's, up to something, like trying to figure out something. And then I watched it, and I got to be honest, this is all the way now and halfway through, right? We're about halfway through season 11. And they managed to give me a pretty interesting episode that usually probably would have just played out normally. But they decided to make it like a noir. I didn't watch the end of this, episode where Angela Kang talks about it being noir. But I was like, from the get-go, I was like, this feels like noir. And they shot it like that. They had the character behave like he's in noir. They had the strings on the wall. I really liked what they did, creating a real mystery behind this situation, creating tension, creating a real sense of paranoia that they don't do on this show. They don't really break too much to me from their standard way of doing things. They've done some stuff throughout 11 years. You have to. But this just felt really an interesting choice, and I was all about it. I also just really loved that it was about Eugene, because, like my thumbnail says, Eugene is, I question whether or not he's better than his comic book counterpart at this point. Because, and I think this is an interesting topic, and I know I'm not the first one to talk about this, but if anybody's interested in hearing more about, characters that I think are way better developed and fleshed out in the show than on the comic book, I would love to make a video talking about all of that. So everybody let me know in the comments section if you're interested in hearing more about the different takes on these characters, that I think some of these are way better than their book counterparts. And I think Eugene is like that, because in the book, Eugene is pretty consistently just the character. He's the guy that, when he starts out, we all know about the big lie to be around, to survive. And we also know that he's always just kind of, he's lovelorn and lonesome, and he's schlubby. He's a pretty schlubby, unattractive guy. And anytime he tries to find love, no matter how smart he is or whatever, he just doesn't find it. And in the book, when he gets a hold of the person on the other end from the Commonwealth, and they have that whole thing, it plays pretty standard. Some of the things happen, but this element is something I really enjoy because it's not there. They gave us something new in this Commonwealth story that was kind of missing in the Commonwealth plot in the books. The Commonwealth plot in the books was pretty straightforward, and while, something is always going to happen when they go to a new place, they're going to find out what's really going on underneath. This part, doing this, just adds more to that I wish the book had. And so this is a great way. This is, to me, another example of good subversion of expectations. It doesn't always work, but combine the fact that they made a nice noir mystery surrounding the missing girl that Eugene's in love with, Elizabeth. Combine that with the way they shot it and filmed it, and you get a really good episode. And like I said, Eugene also, in the show, why I think he's better than the comic book version is because he really has been less, they've fleshed him out better than the book. Just period. And with this plot line, we've seen him go through all sorts of things throughout the years, that weren't in the books, like with Negan's character and everything, like him and teaming up with him and like not knowing what side, Eugene's going to land on because of the way he's behaved in the past to survive. And that's also like that really good. And so they keep managing to give this actor, I always forget what his name is, Josh McDermott, something really interesting to do. And it also speaks to the quality of the guy playing Eugene. I also really liked I like the actress who plays Elizabeth because it was such a sweet relationship, and I was like, oh, it's nice to see the story part play out. He finally gets his girl and all that, and then to pull the rug out from under us. That scene when he's banging on the door, and I'm totally expecting when they show us in the inside of the house a murder, somebody let a zombie in, I don't know, but I expect it to be like something horrifying, and instead it's just her packing, and then she disappears, and we follow that web throughout the whole episode of him just trying to figure out, like we are along for the ride, and all the other characters that see him and are concerned about him, namely mostly Princess, who's also way better developed in this show than in the comic. I like that she's our touchstone because she's, when she was out on her own, she lost it for a bit, and now that she's, in somewhere safe, she seems stable. She's seeing Eugene kind of spiral out, and she's the perfect person to kind of try to keep him, bring him down, but like also understand that he's going through something like she's going through something, and she can help that. And I really, really, really liked that. I can't say how much I'm shocked at how good this episode was. Now we also have Connie's stuff, which is also really good, because that deals with Mercer. We get to her trying to push for the truth of what's going on here in Commonwealth, and going to Mercer and him, starting to doubt things, and the way that they're slowly playing it out, but not too slow. I really, really like. And Mercer, again, perfectly cast. This guy is great. I can't wait to see where they're going to go with this, because now at this point, when they can do things like this, I'm happy to not have the book follow the book, because again, I think if they can make some really good changes, I think that they can actually make the Commonwealth storyline way more satisfying to me than it ever was in the books. Now we also have Carol with Hornsby, which is great pairing, right? You get the guy who is behind everything, we find out, right? Like he's the guy behind the guy. He's the major domo. He's, one of, like if he was a Game of Thrones character, right? He'd be that kind of like sleazeball to the side, And then you have Carol, who's also, she's not a sleazeball, but she knows how to get shit done. So you get these two paired up, and it's like he's trying to figure her out, she's trying to figure him out, and I don't think either of these characters really quite know what to make of the other one yet, but I think Carol has a slight advantage on Lance, because I don't think Lance has any clue how far she'd go. I think he feels like he knows her better than he thinks, but she definitely will know him way more than he knows her. And I'm extra excited to see where that goes. This is a really great pairing, and that whole situation that they were in and how that played out, again, just paying attention. Carol is sitting back and paying attention. She's not acting rash. She is, like she's been in the past. Our characters are really doing the way that they've written our characters to be at the Commonwealth and how they're handling things is so much more satisfying to me than what they did in the book. And so that's all we really got, except, we have to talk about the end. And so one of the things that they talked about at the end of this episode, because I did did watch it when I got home today, just to see what Angela Kang had to say. And so Angela talks about how that this great big wide conspiracy theory, we everybody else, that hears this is like, you just got to stop, you got to give it up, the whole thing about, I should have believed in love, but sometimes people just are messed up. I'm glad that the character just pushed it all the way to the end, so that when Eugene shows up and confronts Hornsby and still doesn't know what's going on, and that anger and that just feeling of how smart I am, but I keep falling for this stuff, because I want the best, and just Hornsby better understand, like the way he just stands there, he does not, like, it's so none of it affects him. And if it does, he's so cool at giving that poker face. This is the real, like, there's villains on this in this season. Pamela Milton may be one. I think Pamela Milton is a little bit, her big guilt, I think, is not being a good enough leader to see what's going on, or also that she's not a good enough leader, that she relies on someone like Hornsby to just do things and not want to know how things are done. I think that's really her big sin. That, and having, raising this sociopath. So, I mean, we got Sebastian, we got her, and but Hornsby to me is the real threat over anything. I think that this is the guy who could pull a coup and have people on his side. So this was a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to episode 12, talking about that later. So anyway, again, if you liked this review for The Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 11, Rogue Element, please hit the like button. If you're not a subscriber, consider becoming a subscriber to the channel, and we'll be back next week with more Walking Dead. Thanks for watching. Bye.